Good day, One Nation Tribal Alliance, brothers and sisters. Today, I am continuing my journey in introducing the Zuni tribal candidates. And today, I am very blessed to have one of the candidates here. Her name is Helena Mahkee-Seotewa. And so, she's a candidate for the Zuni Tribal Council. And I want her to introduce herself and whatever she wants to bring out to y'all. So enjoy, listen to her, and here she is. Helena, it's all yours.
Hello, thank you, Greg, for this opportunity. I truly appreciate it. Um, Keshi koton laki di kanawa ho Helena maki si autiwa leshina. Ano diwe kwala shi kweta mulak awan chale. Hello, my name is Helena Mahkee-Seotewa. My clans are Crow and Childo Parrot. I was born and raised here in the Zuni Pueblo up until the age of 18. So I was very fluent. I'm a with my bake. Um, because I was always taught that the Yamasa Shina, listen, I was shoot again. So that's pretty much what I carried with me and somewhere along the way. So after graduating high school, I had joined the military. 2 weeks after graduation, I left. And ever since then, I was in the military from 2001, June 18th. And at the age of 23, I got my first leadership role. I was getting promoted to sergeant, and one of my NCOs along the way had told me, you have to speak the language at you have to speak the language of the table that you're going to sit at. Because I had a hard time coming from speaking nothing but Zuni, going into my military career, and he really like stressed me like you have to speak you have to speak English, like you have to better your English because I had a hard time being bilingual in the beginning, and so I guess that really paid off in now, considering that state and federal was not that job so I've had to like really rethink and go through all of this. So for 20 years, I served in the United States Army as a culinary specialist. And during my 20 years, my first better half of my career, I was out in Iraq from 2003 to 2004, came back, reset 2005 to 2006, came back for reset, and then 2007 to 2009. So throughout that, I was also I had the opportunity to work with different types of leaders, different types of people from all walks of life, which really molded me to become a better leader. And on top of that, I was always advised, when we do go to leadership courses, but the biggest advice I ever got was to invest in myself as a leader. So one of my favorite leadership authors is John C. Maxwell. So that's the books that I have a stack of because I really invested in myself as a leader. So you know, while deployed, I was picked out of all the staff sergeants, male and female, from my sergeant major to fill a 11 Bravo 40 slot, which is a infantry operations sergeant. And I was honored because he told me, you have this vision. I can see what you see. You have like this, you have this unique leadership approach because while you're out there, it's then that would call it ahoy. So you learn to speak by showing compassion, humility. I was a part of CA missions, which is civil affairs. So I got to meet some Iraqis, they're Shiites, and it was a very humbling experience. And fast forward, when I got back, I had the opportunity to go to Korea. My first time was in 2010, and I came back the end of well, I left early 2010, and then I came back the end of 2010. It was a 1 year non-combat deployment out there. is considered a hardship deployment. So I went out there, I lived in a different country. It was quite an experience. And then on top of that, I had when I came back, I was stationed out in Texas, Fort Hood. I was stationed out there, and then I ended up on orders to go to Drill Sergeant Academy. And when I got there, I got redirected because they had switched to AIT platoon sergeant. So I still had to fulfill my schooling at the Drill Sergeant Academy in Columbia, South Carolina. Once I completed that, I moved forward to Fort Lee, where I was part of the advanced individual training, where soldiers graduate from basic training, moved on into their actual career, their jobs. And there, I was in charge of close to like 480 soldiers at any given time, because I was selected to become the senior. That entailed my troops to task, for the instructors, the fellow LT platoon sergeants, my soldiers. So I was a lot of moving pieces that I was in charge of, and that really helped with my organizational skills. And at one point I had two platoons that I had to be in charge of, which was a that brought up to 150 soldiers at the same time. So I had two platoons at the same time, and then on top of that, I had all those other platoons that I was in charge of. And so, that's where I really met a lot of different soldiers. So my leadership experience has gone from there, fulfilling in the first sergeant, first sergeant positions, to where I would have to brief generals. So, that's when that whole advice kicked in, and it paid off. Speaking, fluent English and everything. When I returned, um, back home, I was struggling with Zuni o kwesta elishu with my band kain. Kwesta elishu with my band I always got my family, they helped me. They started off with like colors, head start on colors, so some money and then move forward. So I can hold Elebea. I'm not as scared. I wasn't as confident in the beginning, but so Elebea, and that means a lot to me. My biggest goal was to learn uh, both worlds. Melika madab shiwim. I wanted to have that balance, especially with our cultural and our traditional roles that we carry. And so, I was home for like a year, and then I applied to work for the Zuni tribe. I tried to give myself a year to decompress all my military, um, I guess, approaches. So I tried to go ahead and, decompress all of that. And so when I retired, gave myself a year break, I went ahead and applied for the Pueblo of Zuni. And I started off in the governor's office as an admin assistant. So nobody really knew, I wasn't like out there, hey, this is my whole life. I was very humble. I'm a very humble person. I'm a servant leader. That's been my whole thing throughout my whole military career, is putting the needs of others before my own. And that's how I've always been. And I think that servant leadership I got from my dad. He's a Zuni rain priest, and that's his role. I am Aho Ani. So for me, that's how I've always been, starting off as my in my leadership roles. So um, when I worked for the tribe, I started off as the admin assistant, and then I got asked, like, why are you holding yourself back? Like, we have an emergency manager position open for you. It's like, you'll be a good fit. So, I was thinking, I was like, okay, well, you know what? Let me try it. So I did. And it was a lot of learning curves, um, building from nothing on up. I was able to have the influence during that time, because that wood distribution fell under that department. And, my biggest thing was why don't we put our elders first? Because I was informed that, a lot of able bodies will be the first ones to pick up leaving our elders without any wood. And so my influence on that portion was to put them ahead. I mean, of course, I got slack, I got a lot of slack for that. But, I was raised like that. I was raised to put your elders first. They raised us. Why can't we do that back for them? Why can't we take care of them? And that's the influence that I had there. And then on top of the emergency management, I was able to create a binder, kind of like a military standard operation procedure, to where you had your point of contacts, you had your listen of which departments had what vehicles, like, so if anything was to happen, which is common, like flooding here, where our points will be for sandbags for the south and northern part of Zuni, so that we could execute how we can distribute all of those in a timely manner to our community members. And so with that, I was able to establish that and then work with the other departments within the tribe, and they assisted me, where we built another berm out on Oak Wash to make sure that the residents within Oak Gallup Road didn't get flooded, because that was one of the main residential areas that got flooded. So that was the main one that we built a berm at. And then we also cleaned the drainages leading to the underground drainages going into the Zuni River, the culverts. Like, I had a lot of help from all the it was utilities, roads, transfer. They all helped, which was like the greatest thing to see. All of us working together to make sure that our community members were safe during the flash flood. So that was like the biggest thing that like, it was the biggest takeaway that I had from that experience. I went ahead and resigned, and I went back to building a life as a fourth generation livestock owner and rancher. So for the past, what, a year and 2 years almost, I've been busy, with our sheep, cattle, horses, everything that we have. I've been busy with that. And then the question came up, like, is this really what I came back home for? You know, like, I have this leadership experience, which brought me to this, to, living in this community for going on almost 5 years now, and seeing, like, our people. This is not the same Zuni I left years ago. And I don't see that. And I hope to be a part of a change that where we can create that kind of environment, not just for us, but our future generations, because they deserve that. And, I can say what I want to focus on, but moving forward, going into office, we'll see what's at hand. And we will have to, as a collective, we will have to make priorities on how we're going to attack what is ahead of us, to make sure that our people are taken care of and no longer being, I guess I would say, not being in the know of what's going on. Because I feel that, I know transparency, the word has been utilized so much, but, in my career, transparency was a big thing, because, be, know, and do. That was our thing. I've lived by an oath. I lived by an NCO creed for half of my life, and I still do to this day. And a lot of it is with the integrity, transparency, and the commitment to service. That's the biggest thing. And so I feel that our people deserve that. And I feel that our people need to be involved in major decisions going forward. Because if it's not just, it's just a title and a position is temporary. It's always temporary. And to be who you are, regardless, that's what counts the most as a leader. So I feel that, like, moving forward with our people, we need them to know what is going on. Because, I mean, if you ask me a certain question, I will probably tell you I don't know what's the big picture right now. And I would like for our community to know the big picture, so that we all can move in unison together. because we are their voice. We will be their voice. And I think that's the biggest thing that biggest thing for me personally. Like I just, it's no personal interest. It's about our people, um, and how we can strengthen our people, ourselves, our community, how we can move forward and just become self sufficient eventually. And so yeah, that's pretty much my vision on moving forward.
Okay, well, that sounds good. You know, we all have a good vision to better our people, to better serve our people. So
Hmm.
I just wanted to thank you for your time. Thank you for bringing out, yourself to the people, because this is a time to really, really, make the people's vote count. And I'm
Yes.
always encouraging people, get out and vote, get out. I'm encouraging, but I'm not walking it because I've never voted in my life. Never
Hmm.
voted. And so, but that's okay. That's me. That's just me. And that's because,
Hmm.
I don't think as an elder my voice don't count, but it does in a way.
Hmm.
I'm here to share, but that's what you're here to do, share. And
Hmm.
I just want to say again, thank you for your time, and I appreciate you coming out and bringing out yourself to the people. And I look forward and good luck. And people, if you like what she's saying, support her. And if you have any other questions for her, she'll be out in public. Feel free to get a hold of her and ask her the direct questions, because military, that's how you get the answers. You got to ask the direct question. I served, so I know. So, again, this is One Nation Tribal Alliance. Thanking you all for listening in. Y'all have a wonderful day. And I love y'all. Bye bye.